Ever catch yourself like daydreaming about financial freedom?
Well,
You know, that kind of magical place where money's not a constant worry and you're free to just pursue your passions.
yeah.
Well, today we're diving deep into that very idea, your roadmap to financial freedom.
hmm
And we're tapping into the wisdom of not one, but two YouTubers for this,
Oh,
Ali Abdaal and D'Avella.
okay.
And before you think seriously YouTube,
Right.
trust me, these guys have some surprisingly insightful takes.
Yeah, what I find fascinating is that both of them, both Ahab and D'Avella, go beyond the usual make more money advice.
Right.
They really delve into the psychology behind it,
Yeah.
the why, how it impacts your life, which I think is really crucial.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Abdal starts his video with this really powerful question. He says, why do you want financial freedom?
hmm
And he uses this example of his doctor friend John, who's fixated on having $1 million in 8 years.
Yeah, and Abdal pushes him on that number, right? He's like, what will that $1 million actually do for you? What feeling or experience are you ultimately after?
And it's such a good point, because financial freedom, it isn't about hitting some magic number.
Right.
It's about what that freedom represents for you personally.
Yeah.
So, listener, take a moment
Mhm.
right now and ask yourself, what's your why?
Yeah, is it more time with family, the ability to travel the world, finally writing that novel you've been dreaming of?
Ooh, I like that one.
All those things.
Yeah, exactly. It's so personal. And this ties directly into Abdal's GPS framework goal plan system.
Yes.
He emphasizes that we often have these ambitious goals,
Mm-hmm.
but our current plans, they don't actually lead us there.
Yeah.
It's like trying to bake a cake with only broccoli, you know.
Okay, yeah.
You might have a plan, but it's not going to result in a very delicious cake, is it?
Yeah.
So Abdal challenges his friend John, and by extension all of us, to ask, do you need to change the goal or change the plan to achieve true financial freedom?
And what I find really refreshing is that Abdal acknowledges that changing the goal is a valid option.
Really?
It's about aligning your life, not chasing these arbitrary figures. He even points out the potential heartbreak of sacrificing your health or relationships to chase some financial target that might not even bring you the fulfillment you expected.
It's so easy to get caught up in the numbers.
Right.
But Abdal doesn't sugarcoat things. He tells his friend John, point blank, he's like, you've got a knowledge problem when it comes to making money.
He's not wrong.
No.
And I think a lot of people, they treat personal finance as something you either get or you don't.
Right.
But it's a skill set like any other.
Totally, you have to learn it.
And it turns out, John, he hadn't read a single book, listened to any podcasts on finance or entrepreneurship.
Abdal uses this great analogy. Imagine wanting to be a doctor, but refusing to go to med school. You wouldn't just wing it, right? You'd study, you'd learn the skills, you'd put in the work.
Exactly. You got to put in the work. Yeah. So to help John kind of fill that knowledge gap, Abdal, he points him to some resources, to get him started.
Oh.
Books like The Millionaire Fast Lane. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah.
$1 Million Weekend, $100 million Offers, and Secrets.
Oh, wow. He threw a lot at him.
And then he also mentions these interviews he's done with some really interesting entrepreneurs.
Yep.
Dan Priestley, Robin Waite, Nicholas Cole, and Cody Sanchez.
So it's like a crash course in wealth building from someone who's been there.
Exactly.
Now, while Abdal is all about aligning your goals and acquiring the right knowledge, D'Avella, our other YouTuber for today, he offers a bit more of a grounded approach, I guess you could say, with these practical steps for achieving financial stability.
And it's interesting, right? Because D'Avella's concrete steps can actually strengthen your system within Abdal's GPS framework, right?
Oh, okay.
By creating a really solid financial foundation, you're essentially building a more resilient system
I see.
that can support your journey towards financial freedom, no matter what curveballs life throws your way.
I love how you connected those two. Okay, so D'Avella, he lays out these 4 key steps.
Okay.
First up, it's the emergency fund. That break glass in case of emergency money. And D'Avella's pretty clear that this isn't your treat yourself fund.
Right.
This is for genuine financial hiccups.
Yes.
Sudden job loss.
Yes.
Medical bills.
Yeah.
Your car spontaneously combusting. The fun stuff.
Exactly. It's about having that peace of mind, knowing you can handle those situations without derailing your finances, without going into debt.
Speaking of debt, that's D'Avella's next target. He talks about how those monthly payments, student loans, credit cards, whatever it may be, they can be such a huge drain on your income. It makes it so much harder to save or invest.
Absolutely.
He actually describes this incredible feeling of logging into his spreadsheet and deleting each debt as he paid it off one by one.
I love that. It's almost like you're hitting delete on a source of stress, you know? It really highlights the psychological impact of getting rid of that debt, It's not just about the numbers, it's about how it makes you feel.
Totally, totally. Now, once you've tackled those immediate financial fires, the emergency fund, the debt, D'Avella introduces this concept of runway.
Okay.
Basically saving up 6 to 12 months worth of your living expenses.
Yeah, and this ties back into that freedom and flexibility that we were talking about earlier, right? Imagine having the security to, I don't know, pursue a passion project, start a business, even take a career break.
Yeah.
Knowing you have that financial cushion to fall back on. That's the power of the runway.
It's like giving yourself permission to take risks and chase your dreams, which, that aligns perfectly with the whole idea of financial freedom.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
Finally, D'Avella gets to the long game retirement.
Okay.
I know it can feel like a lifetime away, especially when you're just starting out.
Sure.
But this is where, understanding the magic of compound interest is so crucial, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? Even though it can seem kind of intimidating, it's actually a really exciting concept once you grasp it.
Totally. So D'Avella, he illustrates this with a really compelling example. Imagine investing just $10,000 at age 20.
Okay.
Assuming an average annual return of 10% by the time you retire at 70, that initial investment could potentially grow to over $1 million.
It's incredible, right? Now, it's important to note that is a simplified example, and market conditions can fluctuate.
Of course, yeah.
But it just highlights the incredible power of time and compound interest when it comes to building wealth. The earlier you start, even with small amounts, the more time your money has to grow exponentially.
So the takeaway here is not to get caught up in trying to time the market or find some get-rich-quick scheme.
Right.
But to embrace that long game of consistent saving and investing.
Absolutely, yeah. And I appreciate how both D'Avella and Abdaal, they emphasize that these are frameworks, not rigid rules.
Right.
You have to find what works best for you, your risk tolerance, your unique financial situation.
For sure. Yeah, it's your journey, right?
Mm.
And speaking of journeys, Abdaal, he makes this fascinating point about how it's not just about the destination of financial freedom. It's about who you become along the way.
Yeah.
He even compares aspiring entrepreneurs to athletes.
I love that analogy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it really highlights the importance of treating yourself holistically, right? It's not just about the hours you grind. It's about prioritizing your health, your relationships, your overall well-being.
You can't pour from an empty cup, as they say.
Right.
You can't pour yourself into your finances if you're running on fumes in every other area of your life.
Exactly. Sustainability is key.
Yeah.
It's about achieving that financial freedom without sacrificing your health, your relationships, all that good stuff along the way.
And let's be honest, we could all probably free up some extra time and energy if we took a hard look at those, shall we say, less productive activities that we all engage in.
Oh, yeah.
The endless Netflix binges, the mindless social media scrolling.
It's so easy to get sucked in.
I'm so guilty of it.
Me too. It's all about balance.
Go ahead, yeah.
It's not about becoming some productivity robot.
Yeah.
It's just about being mindful of how you're spending your time and making sure it aligns with those goals, with those values.
And that leads to Abdal's final point, which I thought was really interesting, about the importance of your social circle. He observed that a lot of the people who spend time with him, they seem to become more financially successful themselves.
Interesting.
Now obviously, correlation doesn't equal causation, right?
Right.
But it makes you think, right?
It does.
If you surround yourself with people who are passionate about finance, entrepreneurship, investing, you're probably more likely to absorb that knowledge, be inspired to take action yourself.
Oh, for sure. It's like having a built-in support system, right?
Yeah.
And a source of motivation.
Totally. Okay, so to wrap up this deep dive into financial freedom, Abdaal, he leads us with this really powerful idea. The journey, i.e. the reward.
Oh, I love that.
Right. It's not just about reaching that finish line of financial independence. It's about embracing the entire process.
Hmm.
The learning, the experimenting, the growth you experience along the way,
Yeah.
even the setbacks and the failures, those can be incredible learning opportunities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's about like finding joy in the journey itself,
Yeah.
challenges and all.
Because ultimately, becoming financially savvy, building a business, investing wisely, that journey of learning and growth,
Yeah.
I think that's where the real transformation happens.
I agree.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
For sure.
And finding like fulfillment in the process, I think is key.
Absolutely. So listener, we leave you with this.
Okay.
What's your why for seeking financial freedom? What are those experiences, those feelings you're ultimately after?
Yeah.
And how can you make this journey itself a really rewarding, enriching experience?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Head over to the show notes for links to all the resources we mentioned today, and be sure to connect with us and share your own journey to financial freedom. Happy exploring, everybody.